Hello friends, happy Tuesday. It is Tip Tuesday and I decided that I was going to go live today to bring you today's tip. So let me get this shared over in my Mind Power Collective group, which of course is my private Facebook group. It's totally free. I will do, different questions and Q&A times and lots of different things in that group. Lots of different trainings and things that I share in that group. So if you aren't over there, please feel free to join us. All right, let's see. If you are live, say hello. We are going to talk a little bit about a couple of things that I tend to see in terms of people being stuck, things that are a challenge. Let's see. This is going to let me. All right, Facebook is being it's not being helpful today. Okay, so let's talk about this for a second. One of the things, let's get this, sorry guys, trying to get this shared over into the Mind Power Collective group. If you are here, please say hello. Can't do two things at once. All right, so let's talk about this, shall we? I want to talk a little bit about these two things that seem like they are similar, seem like they are exactly what we need to be doing, but they are not the same. And I've been talking a lot about energy recently, and so this is, may not come as a surprise that this topic is based around energy as well. So it is about mindset, it is about how we're thinking, how we're sort of planning our thought processes, how you're maybe even wording some of your affirmations and the things that you want to create. And generally speaking, this is about where you're focused, right? Where is your mindset focused? So let's go back to what mindset really is. Mindset is truly the beliefs that we have rolling around in our mind. So the thoughts that we're thinking consistently, the things that we believe to be true in life, and it's just those things, like those repetitive thoughts that roll through our mind, those things that come up automatically, right? But when we decide that we want to change something, and that's hopefully why you're here, if you want to change any area of your life, you really need to take a look at that mindset aspect. And so if you've seen any of my mindset videos before, I talk a lot about really being intentional about those thoughts. What is it that you want, right? And thinking in alignment with that decision or that area. And so what I see a lot from people, and this happens in one-on-one sessions, if I'm having a conversation with someone, is I'll ask them, what is it that you want, right? What do you want to create in your life? What is it that you want to change or transform in your career or in, your relationships or whatever? And the answer that I get back is, well, I don't want this, and I don't want that, and I don't want this, right? And so what's interesting is that when we reflect back on that and I say, okay, if you don't want all of these things, then what is it that you actually want? What is it that you want? Not what don't you want, but what is it that you want? So the thing that I want to really drill down and really talk about today is the difference between avoiding things versus creating things, right? So a lot of times, human beings are designed to avoid pain and to seek the things that are going to enlighten them, seek the things that are going to feel good, right? Pleasure, joy, happiness. But most of us get stuck, and those of us who are really stuck in life and generally get stuck in this avoidance space. They are avoiding lack. They're avoiding failure. They want to avoid disappointment. They want to avoid discomfort in their lives. And the thing that they think is happening is if I avoid those things, then that means I'm naturally going to be moving toward happiness, right? The opposite of all those things they're avoiding. So if they're avoiding pain, then they think that they're actually going to be inviting or creating pleasure, and that's not how it works. So if you have been stuck, this idea of being stuck really brings the energy of stagnation. It brings an energy of frustration. It brings an energy of really trying to hyper focus on this thing that you absolutely do not want. And yet, when you're focusing on the thing that you don't want, you create more opportunities to create that or to feel that, right? So those people who have been stuck, and I've been there, we sit there and we go, oh, I've been trying and I've been doing all of these things, but your mind and your energy is literally flowing toward the stuckness, the discomfort, the weight issue, the relationship issue, because you're trying to avoid whatever sort of, feelings, emotions, negative stuff that is wrapped up in that topic. You're avoiding those things, and you're also avoiding the thing that you actually want, because energetically your focus is on, I don't want that. I don't want this thing that's in my life anymore. I'm trying to avoid it. I'm trying to get away from it. And when you're constantly trying to get away from something, it gets bigger. Avoiding and creating are not the same thing. Trying to avoid pain is not the same thing as creating pleasure. Avoiding failure is absolutely not the same thing as creating success. These are two completely different mindsets. These are two completely different energies. And if you feel into them, just sit with it for a moment, right? Feel into the idea of when you think about avoiding failure or discomfort, what is the feeling that comes up? There's this sort of collapsing of energy. You don't feel open and airy and ready to take on the world. You feel shut down. You feel protective. You feel like you're not safe, right? Whereas if you say, I actually want to lean in, I want to be open, I am open to creating. Creating is a very expansive and powerful energy. I choose to create abundance and joy and pleasure and all of the things that you want, success. I choose to create that. That is where my energy is focused. Now here's the thing. If you have some blocks to the success, if you have this mindset related to failure, if you have this mindset related to discomfort, or if you have this mindset or this thought process or this relationship with those things, then you absolutely are going to have to deal with some of that, right? This whole idea that we can avoid it or we can hyper focus on the positive and get rid of all the negative altogether is sort of a misnomer. Like, it's not a thing. You have to really face some of that stuff. Hey, Lisa, right? So in the creative process, what I'm talking about is, where are you flowing your energy to? Are you avoiding? Are you creating? Are you resisting or are you inviting? Right? Are you pushing it away or are you cultivating it and calling it in? And for those of us who are constantly, and I say us because I've been there, and from time to time I still go there, we don't want to experience pain. We don't, call that in on purpose. We don't want to experience that negative emotion. But in order to create, many times we have to process through it, face the emotion, and then release it. Okay, so this idea, I really want you to start thinking about this as it applies to the different areas of your life. Are you calling it in? Are you creating it? Are you flowing energy into the direction of where it feels good and expansive and open? Or are you shut down and are you avoiding? Are you trying to avoid the disappointment and so you don't ever face what you actually want, right? And again, those two things are not the same. And the challenge is that so many people think that by avoiding this thing, right, that they're going to actually create the abundance that they want. Avoiding lack creates abundance, and it doesn't. Those two things are not the same. The energy of those two things is completely different. And when we think about the wording of them, or we think about the mindset that happens in those areas, right? Like the mindset of, I just don't want to be broke. I don't want to be broke. Well, you may not actually be broke, but you're absolutely not necessarily going to be rich, right? Because energetically it's different. So I want you to start thinking about the energy of your thought process, the energy of where is your mindset at? And a good way to look at this is to look at the different areas of your life. When you look at your family life, what does the energy feel like? What are your thought processes in that area of your life? When you think about your health and wellness, what does that energy feel like? Are you avoiding something that feels painful? Are you avoiding or trying to get away from this weight issue? Are you trying to get away from this health thing that feels so bad? Or are you inviting and cultivating the health and wellness and vibrancy that your body is supposed to have? Do you see the difference? There is a huge difference in how those things feel. So you're going to hear me start talking a lot more this year about the energy and how it feels, because what we're talking about when we're talking about mindset, we're talking about emotions, we're talking about all of that, we are actually labeling an energy. And I really want to help you all get to a point where you are feeling it and leading, yes, with words. And if that's like, if that helps you get to the feeling, using those words to get to that feeling, but to be able to feel your way forward. Right? Feel your way into, am I open and airy and expansive? Am I calling this in? Am I attracting it and magnetizing everything to me? Or am I going about it in the very old masculine energy? I have to do, I have to create, I have to find all the things that are outside of me. Or am I calling it into me? Right? And again, the energy is different. The energy is completely different. So my tip for you today is to feel into the energy of your thoughts. Feel into the energy of the words that you are speaking, the thoughts that you are thinking, the beliefs that you are practicing, because there is power here. And when you notice that you're shut down in those areas, ask yourself, what am I avoiding? Right? What am I avoiding? What am I flowing energy to in this area of my life? How am I focused right now? Am I hyper focused on this thing that's not working and I'm trying to avoid it? And so now I'm in this like power tug of war with this area of my life that doesn't seem to be moving forward, and I feel completely stuck. If that is the case, then it is time to transition your mind and your energy and your focus toward, well, what are you creating? What do you want to create in your life? Really good journal exercise. What do you want to create? Write that down. Every area of your life. What do I want to create in my finances? What do I want to create in my relationships, in my health, in my wellness, in my family life, in my abundance? Like, what do you want to create? And are you flowing energy intentionally in that direction? Now, let me add this warning. Okay? The warning is creating it doesn't mean that you get to avoid or get to ignore, or that you don't have to deal with some of the icky stuff, right? There's going to be some stuff because there's a reason you're not there yet. So sometimes you're going to have to feel the feels. Sometimes you're going to have to release the old beliefs. Sometimes it's going to feel some things that feel uncomfortable. But that's the process of getting to the other side. That's how you literally go to the next level. I've talked about this before. If you haven't read this book, I highly encourage it. It's called The Big Leap, and it talks about this thing called an upper limit problem, right? We all have specific ranges where we create from. It's based on our belief system, a range of experiences that we are comfortable with. And it may be different for everyone, and it's definitely different in every area of your life. So you may have a bigger range or a higher range when it comes to relationships, but when it comes to money or health, maybe your range is a little bit smaller. So you're more comfortable with more weight or more illness or more whatever. So when you want to transition and you want to go to that next level, which for you might mean more money, more energy, more health, right? Whatever that looks like, then it's incredibly critical for you to be able to move through that level. So you have a ceiling. If this is your range, then to get to the other side of that, you got to move through this piece, right? You have to move through it. It doesn't automatically just open. There's some stuff there that you have to release in order to get to that other side. So what we're talking about is when you're focused and you're flowing energy toward what you want to create, what you are cultivating, feeling your way forward, then sure, you're going to bump up against some beliefs that are keeping you from that next level. And that's the work, right? That's the other side of the work. So this isn't escaping the potentially uncomfortable feelings. And I'll be honest, this work is not for you if you just want to be comfortable all the time. And that's a hard and fast sort of truth, right? Like something that you may need to face. It's not going to be a completely comfortable ride. It doesn't have to be painful, but it's not going to be comfortable because you're moving up, you're growing, you're expanding, you're releasing, and that's part of the process. Okay? Let's see if I can see the comments here. Lisa says, I feel like I've recently dipped into some resistance and avoidance thinking, old limiting beliefs rearing up and needing to be released. Exactly. And Lisa, the reason that is happening, right, because we're doing this program together, the reason this is happening is because that first week, you really started stepping into the energy of that vision. You started stepping into what is it that you want, and you stepped into the energy of that. And now what's happening, and with good reason, is you're bumping up against those things because those are the things that are in the way. Those are the beliefs that we need to let go of and release. And when you are aware of this and you have the tools, the strategies, the guidance, the coach, the whatever to help you move through that, then you're able to get to the other side. But here's what happens for most people. Right? This is the truth. Most people who don't know this, and I'm assuming that you're here, so you either already know this or you're about to know this, right? Or you're ready to know this. What happens with most of us is that we get to this level, we get to this thing that's uncomfortable, and we go, ooh, that's really hard. I don't really like how that feels, so I'm going to retreat. I'm going to escape. I'm going to go back to this little area that's really comfortable for me. Comfortable and yet uncomfortable at the same time. I know it, so it feels familiar, right? I've done this dance before, I've done it over and over, and then you get to a point where you get kind of fed up and you're like, nope, I gotta go to the other side, and then you bump up against those limiting beliefs, you start feeling the feels, you start bumping up against this thing that's really hard, and you retreat. And for some people, they do that their entire lives, and they wait. And they stay stuck, and they wait, and they stay stuck, and they pull themselves back, and they keep going up to that level, and they keep bumping up against those beliefs, or they keep bumping up against that resistance until one day they decide no more. They say, what happens if I decide that I'm actually going to face it, and I'm going to stay in the room, and I'm going to sit with these emotions, I'm going to sit with the discomfort. I wonder what happens if I sit there. What happens if I try something different? What happens if I hire a coach, or I attend that webinar, or I sign up for that program, and I do the difficult work? I do the work that's not comfortable. I do the work that kind of gets me out of my comfort zone, that makes me really afraid sometimes. And you know what happens? For most of them, they get to the other side and they see that by going through that discomfort and really being brave and having the guidance and having the support and having whatever it is that they really needed, that they were able to get to the other side and they didn't have to wait as long, right? But only you know when you're ready to get to the other side. So I've always been a coach who is not going to sugarcoat it. I try as much as possible to share the good, bad, and the indifferent, right? I fully believe that if you have a desire, and this is kind of going off of our tip today, but we're just going to roll with it. I have a full belief that if you have a desire, you also have the ability and the potential to create it. And it's supposed to happen for you, right? But it doesn't just happen for you. You have to activate these beliefs, and you have to actively choose to go to the other side. And you have to challenge yourself and say yes to the opportunities that show up for you and that will continue to show up for you in order to help you get to the other side. So if you are in a moment right now, and I'm going to assume that there's someone that will watch this that feels this, right? If you are in a place right now in your life where you have been retreating, you get to the uncomfortable stuff and then you back down and then you go back to old habits and then you just don't make it to the other side, this is your call to action. This is your come to Jesus moment. This is your moment to sit back and ask yourself, are you ready to do the work? Maybe this is the moment for you to say yes. Maybe this is the moment for you to try something that you've never tried before. Maybe this is the moment for you to finally click, schedule a consultation or sign up for that program or go book a session with someone or to pick up that book, whatever that is for you. This may be the time for you to face those uncomfortable things. Because until you are able to really sit with it and use the tools and the strategies and the opportunities that have been coming to you for years and years until you say yes to it, then you're not really going to get to the other side, right? You have to be willing to say yes and to do the work to get there. So I say all of this, again, we kind of veered off with this Tip Tuesday, but I say all of this to say, whatever it is that you feel stuck with, there is an opportunity, multiple opportunities for you to get to the other side, and you don't have to stay that way forever. You don't have to stay stuck, right? You're not meant to stay stuck. You're supposed to expand and grow, but it's up to you to say yes, right? And yes, some of that resistance is going to be uncomfortable. Some of that stuff is going to be, hard to face. Some of that stuff is going to be uncomfortable, and you're going to go, what am I doing? And I can't believe I'm doing this. But just as you do that and you continue to move forward, you're going to see what lies on the other side. And what lies on the other side of that discomfort is your next level in your relationships, in your business, in finances, in your happiness, in your health, in whatever area of your life you're feeling, right? So don't be afraid to say yes. I promise, I've been doing this work as a coach for 8 years. I've been doing this work as a human being for way more than that, and it is worth it. And I am still doing the work because I'm continuing to get to the next level. I'm continuing to face that resistance and go to the other side, and I'm taking you on the journey with me. I share virtually everything about the journey because I want you to know that truly, if I can do it, you can do it too. I'm not special. I'm just really, really stubborn, right? And when it comes to your desires, I want you to be stubborn too. You get to have it, whatever it is that you want. So let's go back quickly before we end this to the main tip for you today. Remember that avoiding pain, avoiding lack, avoiding disappointment is not the same as creating love, creating peace, creating wealth. Those two do not exist in the same zone energetically. So tip 1 is start flowing energy toward what it is that you want to create. Focus in that direction. Be very mindful with your thoughts. Be mindful with your words, and intentionally flow energy and check in with yourself and be honest. Are you focused more on avoiding things, or are you calling in and creating? And know that as you call in and create and get into that energy, you'll bump up against that resistance, beliefs that are old beliefs. You're going to bump up against some thoughts that aren't serving you. And that is your moment where you get to choose to go to the other side. You get to choose to go to the other side and move through that resistance. And maybe you can do it by yourself, and that's great, but maybe you need some support. And I don't have to be that support for you. It can be in a book, it can be in a program, it can be another coach, another mentor. However you choose to get that, go through that resistance, get to the other side, because until you do, you may end up in this sort of ricocheted ping pong experience where you are ready to change and you hit that upper limit and then you fall back down, and then you're ready to change again, and you just kind of stay within this range that isn't where you're meant to be. Okay? So I am going to leave you with that. We did go a bit sideways there off the main message, but I think there were some people that needed to hear that, so I hope it's helpful as always. Let me know your thoughts about this. Does this resonate? Do you have questions about it? And if so, please post them in the comments below this video. And of course, as always, if there is anything that I can help you with, if you feel like this is the time to say yes, or you want to know a bit more about mindset and working one-on-one, feel free to send me a message and let's get you scheduled for a free consultation. We can talk a little bit about it, okay? But here's the thing you need to know. If you have the desire, if you have this thing that you want to create in your life, you also have the power to create that. You have the power and purpose to do that. And there's going to be some stuff that you have to work through. So let's work through that stuff together, okay? All right. I hope that this was helpful. I hope you guys have had a great Tuesday and you guys have a great rest of the week. And remember, if you need extra support, if you want to learn more about what I do, how I can help you, please feel free to send me a message, and I'll chat with you soon. All right, bye guys.